Mr. Nasser,
Oh, yes.
Africa is facing a lot of instabilities. What is your take on the instabilities that are taking place in many of our African states?
The solution is disintegration. Disintegration. You see, Sudan is fighting right now. Sudan was the bigger Sudan that had the Arabs and the blacks. They disintegrated to form what is now called Southern Sudan. And that Southern Sudan, there are still fights. The fights are still ethnistic centered. Sudan can go ahead and disintegrate because it will not be the first country to disintegrate. Many countries in Europe disintegrated for peace. And the countries that disintegrated became prosperous. Yugoslavia disintegrated to form Serbia, Montenegro, Czechoslovakia. After a bloody fight, when they disintegrated, the countries became better and are progressing. Malaysia peacefully, rather Singapore peacefully, disintegrated from Malaysia. Peacefully, without fight, they disintegrated from Malaysia, and now Singapore is an independent country, a power economically. Malaysia is also standing. Now, Africa has a challenge that when the white man put us in these colonial borders, we accepted them, and we are fighting in them, not looking outside the box. We are like grasshoppers put in a container. We are fighting in that container, not knowing that we can think outside the box. For me, this is my take. Countries in Africa, including in Uganda, need to agree on how we can equitably, and mark my word, equitably share resources. The moment we don't agree on how to share resources, we can disintegrate. For example, Uganda was made by 15 founding blocks, and some of these blocks, even their boundaries are known. The other day I was shocked when our brothers in West Nile, I think their rules, were fighting with Acholis over a border. You can imagine we are in one country, but these ones are fighting with the other ones over a border. What kind of country is that? The other day, my brother from Sebei was complaining, asking that the border between Sebei and Bugisu has never been demarcated. You can imagine. You can imagine that's what we are in. So for me, I think if we cannot live equitably as Africans in one country, we can disintegrate. Because Europe has countries that have 500,000 people. Luxembourg, countries like Slovenia, Latvia. Those countries have even 1 million people, 2 million people, and they're okay. So what stops from South Sudan from disintegrating into another Sudan and another Sudan? 4 million, maybe 5 million, and you have peace. Singapore started with a population of, I think, 1.5 million. Now they're a power. But we are being a market of Western manufactured weapons, killing each other day in, day out without a solution. We have, even here in Uganda, we have to agree. Because the boundary of Bugisu is known, the boundary of Sogan is known, the boundary of Nyoro is known, those boundaries are known. We have to come together and agree to share resources equally. The moment we disagree on how we can share resources equally, we don't need to fight. We take the Singapore-Malaysia approach. Be who you are, be who I am, we move forward. So Africa, and let me tell you this. Europe is 3 times smaller than Africa. That's Europe, is 3 times smaller than Africa. Europe has 44 countries. You understand? Africa, which is 3 times bigger than Europe, has 54 countries. What does that mean? That Africa can even have over 100 countries. But that is not what we want. Because it is good for us to be together as a bloc. But in case we fail to agree on how to share resources, instead of fighting each other, let's disintegrate. Then when we disintegrate, just like Europe did, you disintegrate, you withdraw back, you retreat into your smaller units, and then after you can come and integrate as a bigger African Union. When at home you've sorted your issues, then you can come and integrate as a bigger African bloc. That's what is in Europe.